So welcome back to our review of Arma Reforger, which is a continuation of the Arma series, which started with Operation Flashpoint. I've enjoyed it the whole way. So in this episode, we're going to go into how to build a loadout for your player, how to save it, and some things to consider. So we've spawned at Michigan, our main operating base. We've not taken any cap points already. And if you're not familiar with how all of that works and how the supplies and logistics works, just have a boo at our first video, the introduction video. So we're going to play as character. We've already talked about building and how this works here. So now we're going to go get our loadout. So this is our ammunition supply point. This is how we build our loadout and how we get our individual supplies. I typically start at the right one, which if we open it up by pressing F, we have all of these things that we can put on our person as we start out. So you hit E with the cursor over the menu to cycle through the 3 pages on the American side. If you're playing on a modded server, there will be many, many more pages of things that are both useful and useless, depending on how you play and what you do. And guys can spend hours here trying to build a loadout, meanwhile the game is nearly complete in the background while they're fiddling with this stuff. So how I roll, and this is just me, everybody plays differently. At night, I never use my flashlight because it gives away my position. The morphine I never use because by the time I use it, typically I'm dead anyway. Things that I do use. Bandages. If I get shot, I'm going to throw a bandage on until it stops bleeding. And we can get shot a couple times and need a couple bandages. So I usually carry up to 4. There's bags that you can carry as well that increase your storage capacity. And one thing to note, this game does employ a fatigue algorithm. So the more weight you have on, quicker it is for your guy to get tired, slow down his running. The more supplies we have on us, or the more kit we have, that's why there's weights over here on the right. The more kit we have, the less stamina our guy's going to have, if that makes sense. So I get rid of the tourniquet, which I think I already got rid of, and I get rid of the morphine because I use neither. I'll typically bandage quickly. So I'll carry 4 or 5 bandages. I do use smoke a lot, and I do use grenades, so I carry a fairly large number of grenades. I have already taken an Alice pack, which is the largest pack on the Americans in the vanilla server. I will typically, although I have not done it recently, I've been going as light as possible. We need the repair tool to repair any damaged vehicles, and to repair them we have to, if it's a Humvee, it has to go to the light vehicle repair thing that we have to build at each cap point. If it's a large truck, we have to take it to the heavy vehicle repair depot, which again we have to build at each cap point. And if it's a helicopter, at the major cap points, those purple ones, a lot of them will have a already spawned helicopter, but it's damaged, and we need to build a helicopter pad right underneath the helicopter. Then we can go over if we have the repair tool equipped. And to equip it, we have to both put it in our storage and then select a quick key so that we can pull it out and use it. So I usually put it at either 7 or 8, and then I hit the number 8 on my keyboard to bring it up. So I hit the number 8, up comes the repair tool, and I can use it. Other things that I add, so if you get shot a few times, you start losing blood. It'll be indicated here on the player icon, both where you've been shot or if you've got broken bones. And up in the corner here, it'll say, light blood loss, heavy blood loss. To mitigate that, we can use saline. 100% accurate? No. But in theory, over time, you would replenish your fluids and your body would create blood and plasma and all that. Or we can inject plasma as well. But in this game, you replenish your blood by using saline solution. Tourniquets can stop bleeding really quickly. You put the tourniquet on, it's a lot quicker than using a bandage. But we need to take that off and put a bandage on, or it'll start bleeding again eventually, just from movement, things like that. Or, you know, in real life, and I don't know if the game's set up this way, you leave a tourniquet on for too long, you're going to start creating blood clots. So morphine helps, and I don't use it because I only take the bare essentials to keep me alive and to keep me fighting. But morphine, if we get shot a couple times, bandage it up. If the guy's in pain, my aim point's going to be all over the place, kind of like this. Because he's in pain, he's less steady. So you can take a shot of morphine to decrease your pain level and increase your accuracy. I don't do it because I'm typically rolling with things that aren't super accurate in the close range, which we'll go into in a second. So we need a map, obviously, to kind of figure out where we are. In the vanilla portion of the game, there's no GPS, so you have to know how to navigate and how to use a map and compass legitimately. As you play the game, you got to do a lot of point to point, like waypoints, and you know, keeping tabs on where you are to know where your next turn is. And typically, if we're in a vehicle, one guy will drive, the other guy will navigate. Real deal. Get lost in here easily, right? The compass is critical. The map is critical. Your radio is critical for in-game comms, and it's going to tell you there is basically a communications narrator in the game that tells you when your team takes a point, or when the opposing team takes a point. They'll say, you know, the Soviets have taken blah blah blah, we have captured blah 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 blah. So that's kind of critical too. So I always have that radio, and I can talk to different squads with this as well, and we can coordinate that way. And again, if you get killed by a Soviet, they can take this radio and listen in on it as well, so keep that in mind. In this map, I typically take a couple bandages, one saline solution, which I've already done, and not really a whole heck of a lot else. The Alice bag's the first thing I take, and I take this. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't talk about, don't do, the group I play with, to differentiate us from others and from AI and stuff, we'll typically switch out our helmet for a beanie cap. Take what you will out of that, but that's what we do and why we do it. So I've got my kit insofar as my bag and tools. Now I am going to switch over and set up my fighting tools. So in the game, you can wound both AI and players. It will knock them unconscious from shock, essentially, and they can regain consciousness before they bleed out. So to mitigate wasting our main ammunition, which we typically run 7.62 for a bunch of different reasons, we will take a sidearm, in this case the M9 9mm, and then we'll just plug a round or two in the head of either the AI or the player, which will kill them, puts them out of their misery. So we carry the 9 for that reason, so we're not wasting our primary weapon ammo. And then typically how I run, if I'm assaulting a cap point, I'm going to take out everything I can see at a distance, safer for me, first. So this is the M21. It's basically the guys that are into the historical stuff, but this is a rechambered, basically the M1 Garand was a 30-06. This is similar to that, chambered in 7.62, which started happening, I forget if it was in the 70s or the 80s. Probably right around the Vietnam area, but I don't remember. This is chambered in the heavier of the two rounds that are most common for NATO forces. And then the secondary, primary weapon that I take, once I get in close, I want knockdown power. It's not as accurate because of the recoil, but I go with the M60, which shoots the same round. Now in Arma 3, we could rechamber magazines. That capability is not available in Arma Reforger yet, and I don't know if it ever will be, but in Arma 3, I could take rounds from this box magazine and put them into my designated marksman rifle magazine, the M21. We can't do that here, but if that capability ever comes to light or comes into play, kind of setting your kit up this way will come in handy. So I typically run with 11 mags. If I can stay alive long enough, I've gone through them. of the M21 and 3 boxes for the M60. Then I'll take a bunch of grenades and a couple extra smoke. You can't really move stuff around when you're in the ammo depot menu, or it just disappears. You set your kit up and then you rearrange it once you've got it all selected. So now that I have it selected, I want to rearrange it because how I play this game is I will typically, in our squad, I'll be the guy that takes our backpack radio. So I set it up so that I can dump this pack on our vehicle, grab the radio. So I'll put a box on my Alice pack, and then I'll start moving over some M21 ammo and just distribute it around my body. And then make sure I've got enough. I've got 2 bandages will keep me fighting for a couple of minutes. Okay, so now I dump this pack. I'm only losing 2 boxes for my M60. I've got enough to fight for a little bit. So this is how I set up my kit. One of the other guys that I play with, Firefly, he'll typically run with, it's an M16, which is 5.56, with a scope on it to do the same thing as my designated marksman rifle. I like the knockdown power of the 7.62 round. So he goes with the lighter, and he can carry more ammo and not be as heavy. And I carry the DMR, or the M21, more knockdown power, but at the cost of more weight, so I can't run as fast for as long. And then typically he'll run an M60 as well. The reason we run with the M60 is that 7.62 round will penetrate the armor on the BTR, which is the armored vehicle in this game on the Soviet side. And then the Soviets have obviously heavy machine guns in 7.62 as well, but the Soviet 7.62. And they will penetrate the armor of the Humvee. So that's kind of why we roll with that. We don't typically run with the anti-armor rocket, the Law, which in this game is a single use. The RPG on the Soviet side is multi-use, so I can take reloads for the RPG. And we can have one guy that just takes the Soviet light semi-automatic and an RPG, and he can have a pile of RPG rounds and be an effective anti-armor unit that way. Whereas the American side, it's you carry one Law in your primary weapon slot, you use it once and it's done. So kind of handicapped that way on the American side. So this is how I set up my kit. Now I have to save it so that if I die, I don't have to rebuild my kit. It's going to respawn me with all my kit. You see in the upper right hand corner that it's been saved. And we can only save a kit as long as everything in my kit is for my state nation. So if I was a Soviet and I had an American piece of kit on there, it wouldn't let me save it. If I'm an American, I have a Soviet piece of kit in there, it won't let me save that one particular piece. So now I've got my kit set up. I've got my DMR, I've got my M60, I've got my secondary, I've got some grenades, I've got some medical supplies. This typically for me, playing a full game, I can go, if I stay alive for an hour and a half, which is possible in this game if you're good at it, it'll take that long to deplete this ammo, depending on how much heavy fighting we're doing as well, obviously. But this works very well for me. And I've got it in my head so that I can set this kit up now, coming to here and then here. I can have that set up in about 20 seconds, have it saved, and be effectively fighting at that point. And that's going to take some time for you to figure out what you need. This guy is really wasting time. So there's another thing. This is a main operating base. It is not a cap point at all. So the Russians can't come and take this. They can sit here and kill people as they spawn if they've forced us back. And they've taken all these cap points, and this is the only one left. They can, force us all back to here. We have to spawn here, and they can just pick us off. But it's not a strategic point, and this guy has wasted. This is the type of person that needs to be playing Minecraft and not this game. So this is a waste of both resources, like supplies, and time. So if we had a bunch of Soviet players on here right now, he's gone around super defending this point, and the Soviets would have come up from wherever they started, probably in here, and they would have taken this cap point, this cap point, this cap point. They'd have this major one, this major one. They'd probably push over, have this one. Meanwhile, Jackwagon over here is building his Minecraft base, and we're going to lose the game because of it. You need to push out as fast as you can towards the Soviets and prevent their advancement. And that's how, it's one of the strategies in real world war planning. The other, obviously one of the other strategies is to go around your enemy. So if they had Colorado, I would take Iowa and I'd go around them, and I'd take Washington and I'd take Tower Regina, Alabama, New York. I would cut off their supplies if they started down here. Then once you've established that defensive point, cut them off, kill them all, we're holding them from coming north, and we can, a couple of teams, and it doesn't take many, can take everything else on the map. But if you sit at a point and just keep building it up, you're wasting time. The Soviets are advancing. They're going to win the game, which there are Soviets on here, and look what they've done. They've already taken a major cap point. Okay, so this is critical thinking here for this game. I'm on here to make a video, not to play the game necessarily. So you can see here, we'll go over some of the stuff that he's made. He's made the field hospital, which is completely useless, unless you want to come to this point in the map and heal yourself. It makes it cheaper for us to respawn at all of the cap points that we own. This is one of the barracks that has created, these guys are AI players. They're just computer run players, and they'll get on defensive positions like this mounted 50 caliber. Heavy vehicle depot, which we already talked about. He put a tent up for no reason, or a camo net. Anyway. So this is a guy, he's probably an Xbox player that plays Minecraft and likes to build stuff, which is, you know, it's fine. That's part of this game, but it's a very small part in the grand scheme of winning it. So we've created our kit. I am now going to do kind of what I said, and I'm going to build my first vehicle, which is going to get us out of the main operating base. So what I typically do, if there's one of these points right here set up, is I will build a supply truck. I will load it up with supplies. And I will also, so I talked about, I have created my kit and I have my supply pack, my Alice pack here. I'm now going to, we have to be in the vehicle to do this. You can access a vehicle's inventory by hitting tab if you're a PC player. And it'll show you in the back cargo area and in the trunk. If I get out of the vehicle, I can look and be in proximity of the vehicle, look at it, hit tab, and it'll bring me up everything I'm in proximity to and allow me access to their inventory. So I can either do it from in the vehicle or outside the vehicle, and I can right-click my mouse, transfer my pack into the trunk of that vehicle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the PRC 66 backpack radio right here. No, 77, sorry. So that allows me, so when it's on my back, anybody on the team can spawn on my radio. When I'm in the vehicle, they can spawn in the vehicle. And when I get to a cap point that I want to take, I can deploy the radio. I set it on the ground and set it up. And then anyone in my squad, and my squad only, can spawn on that deployed radio. It's like a mobile spawn point. So we always carry that, and that allows us to rapidly advance and take points. Because if I die, I just respawn on that radio. I don't have to go respawn on the closest major comms relay that we have, which is another reason that it's important to create those comms relays. That's how we create the comms net, and we can respawn on those radios, and we can resupply on those radios as well. Why did that only give me? He's building so much stuff, there's no supplies here. That's crazy. So I want to fill this truck right up. So I'm just stealing all the supplies out of this point. There we go. So now I can go around to any point that he's built that has a sign on it and take supplies from it if they have supplies in that point. So I've set up my kit. I have my radio, and this is how we play, and this is how we play play with Whiskey, Firefly, myself, Stab Brad, and there's a couple other folks that we play with. This is how we're going to roll. One of us is going to have this radio in our squad. He's built so much stuff I can't get out of this base. I don't even understand. So this is a prime example of what not to do if you want to waste time and make your teammates angry. This is how you do it. Wasting time at your main operating base. So anyway, we've left, we've kitted up. Now we're going to go take our first point. So we've got a radio, we've got our supplies, we've got supplies in the truck to build the next radio at the next cap point, and we're going to go on. So that'll be episode 3. We'll continue on. Thanks for watching.